What's up, guys? Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Building Empires Network. You got your host, myself, Andrea Cruz, and Christina Franco. And today we got two special guests. I've been knowing these guys for a while, and I just have to say they are the best. But they are here to, talk about how they started their wholesaling business and slowly transitioned into wholetailing. So yeah, guys, tell us a little bit. We'll start with you, Kirk. Just your name, and then Lee can go ahead and do
Absolutely. Kirk Richards. I'm one half of West Richards Properties. My partner here, Lee West. We're from Houston, Texas. We started wholesaling back in 2017, and had a few bumps in the roads, to where we are now. Mm-hmm. But we've been just growing, building our team, and seeing some great success in the market. So
nice. Mm-hmm.
Awesome. What's up, guys? I just want to start off by saying definitely grateful to be here. Thank you, Andrea, for the invite.
Yes,
and
sure.
Christina as well. It's amazing to see ladies in this business that's, definitely dominated by a lot of men. So it's always inspiring to see them, still in this business and still doing great things. So just really grateful to be here. So just like Kirk said, my name is Lee West, the other half of West Richards Properties. Just a little bit about myself. Previously, I know we're going to get more into detail. Previously had another career outside of real estate, but we just started from the bottom. Didn't have, a lot of money to put into the business, but just with a lot of hard work and just consistency and just grind, honestly, just to figure things out. We've been able to still be here, since 2017. So that's always an accomplishment in itself.
Yeah, of course.
Thank you.
Of course. Yeah. So let's start off. How did you guys meet?
We actually met back in college. So we've been best friends since college, went to University of Houston. We studied accounting together. So we have that background.
Nice.
Yeah, went to school and graduated, went to the accounting world, hated it. Hated it and found real estate. Yeah, so awesome. It was our out.
Nice. So whenever you guys met, how did that go about? Like, hey, let's do real estate together. What made you guys kind of partner up to start your own business?
Yeah, that's a great question. A lot of people ask that. So it's just kind of one of those things where, it's when you work in the 9 to 5 or 9, I called it 9 until the work got done, because I've never really had a 9 to 5 job, right. Which has served me well in business as well. And, it's just one of those things where, you're working hard and it's year after year after year, and you really just have absolutely like no control of your life.
Right.
And so it's kind of in the hands, you're waiting for this promotion or you're waiting for this, and then maybe you don't get it. But I was actually doing really well in my prior career, was moving up the ladder, and just really got to a point, Kirk and I, you can't get into business with all your friends.
Right.
So I know everybody has certain friends that, they kind of gravitate to this with certain conversations. And, Kirk and I would always kind of have, side conversations about, what else could we do? Hey, man, you liking what you do, don't really like what you do. But we've always both gravitated to real estate. Mm-hmm. So we always enjoyed talking about real estate and having conversations about real estate. And so I was actually one of Kirk's friends, and now we're mutual friends now, who first introduced us to real estate wholesaling.
Nice.
So shout out to Mr. Shote in the building. I think he's in Costa Rica living his best life.
Why not?
But he's doing
Tell me where you're at.
So Brandon Shote, he introduced us to the game. And so, it's just a way for us to get into real estate without being so capital intensive to where, we just didn't have that capital that we'd be willing to risk.
Right.
We had savings, but there's a difference between having savings and then getting into business. And are you willing to risk those savings to build your business?
Yeah.
And so we just needed to find something in real estate that we can get into it and not be so capital intensive, to give ourselves enough runway to be successful.
Okay. Yeah. So how was your first, your first deal, or how long did it take you to get your first deal?
It took us roughly 9 months, believe it or not, to get our first deal. Yeah, we started February 2017. You hear the stories. They tell you go direct mail,
right?
Go put your bandit signs, go door knock. So we did all of it. We started off with $1,000 each. So I put 1,000 in, he put 1,000 in, and we got down to literally 500 of that before we got our first deal. So it was real scary. But what we noticed was like, okay, you either have the time to do the marketing, or you have the money to spend to do the marketing, right? So when you run out of the money, well, you just have to spend your time. So we spent our weekends going out there on our own, putting out bandit signs. you know?
Yeah.
And I hate to say it, but Harvey happened, and
Mhm.
luckily that helped us get our first deal.
Yeah.
First deal was a flood property, and we took that money from that and just rolled it right back into the business.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that I always say, like people that don't have money, they're like, well, I don't have money, but well, then put the time in.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
I always let people know how important that is. Like, hey, if you don't have the money and if you really want to do it, then put the time
Yeah.
to do it. So,
100%.
but I know you guys had a job, right? So you guys were working and you guys were doing this on the side. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, so it's actually pretty interesting. So the job I had, I was traveling a lot. So I really didn't have the luxury of, having a job and then kind of working on the side and be here in Houston. So my previous accounting career, I was always dealing with clients. And so I worked really, really long hours.
Mhm.
So it just didn't make sense for me when we were building our business for me to stay there. So I actually started off first in the business full time while Kirk maintained his job. And so because I mean, my last project, I was in Florida back and forth every single week for 9 months.
I see.
So I really didn't have the opportunity to really kind of go all in
Right.
and still be here. I had to pick one or the other. And it was just kind of how the job that I had before. If I had a 9 to 5, I probably definitely would have kept it to give me more runway. But it was kind of one of those things. It's either, I tell people all the time that's getting into business, it's either you're just going to go all in, right? Leave your current job and go all in until it works, or you're going to keep your current job and build your business on the side until it gets to a point that it can really supplement your lifestyle.
Mhm.
So then that way, then you can go all in.
Right.
Right.
And so for the way my setup was, it was better for me and better for the business for me to go all in first. And then as our business started to grow and could sustain itself, then that's when Kirk, it was about a year and a half in or so, where then Kirk came on full time into the business once the business was kind of more established and self-sufficient.
Nice.
Yeah,
Nice.
so a lot of risk.
Yeah, that is a lot of risk because, it's like one's keeping it, you're losing it. So like, hey, what if it didn't work? What's going to happen to you?
That's right.
Right.
That's right.
Hey, Kirk is going to have to take you in.
About to move in with Kirk.
Yeah. But no, I mean, but you have to make decisions like that. And a lot of the times the decisions are not scary. You don't even know what's going to happen. You don't know if it's going to work or not, but it's just a leap of faith that you have to take, in order to see like, hey, if you would have never done that, you wouldn't even be where you're at now.
Right.
So
Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely. And I don't think a lot of people realize that, we see it all the time, which is why I really, when you tell me about this podcast, talking about the real, right? Talking about the losses and not really focusing so much on the wins.
Right.
Because I think a lot of people have an unrealistic expectation when it comes to getting into business.
Yeah.
Right. Because Instagram and social media makes it look like, oh man, you do this and in 2 months you're going to be good. In 3 months you're going to be good, and not realizing
You'll be driving a Lambo.
You're going to be driving a Lambo in 6 months, right? And those are really the exception and not the norm, right?
Right.
And so it's just takes a lot of sacrifice, a lot of dedication, and like exactly what you said, it's really just having faith.
Yeah.
And believing in yourself, even when other people are downing you or thinking you're crazy for doing it.
Mhm.
But as long as you're willing to stay true to yourself and stick to your dreams, I really feel like if you stay long enough and give yourself enough runway to be successful, things will work out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And tell us a little bit about a moment where you guys were like, oh crap, like what, you were scared, you were like, you don't know what was gonna, like, just a disappointment moment, where you thought something was gonna work and it didn't work, and how did you handle that?
I don't think we have enough time for that.
That's
Still
true.
getting disappointed, guys.
It's real.
I can tell you something that just happened 5 minutes ago.
Yeah.
We were supposed to close yesterday, and now we're not closing until Friday. I was pissed off. So
Well,
Yeah.
welcome to my boat. That happened to me too.
Yes. Yeah. Always getting pissed off.
Yeah, we've had a lot of moments where it was like, man, are we gonna make it? Of course, in the beginning parts where
Mhm.
you don't have all the capital that you need to have to sustain, a efficient business. So I would say most of that time was during the front end of when we were trying to learn how to build a business.
Mhm.
We were spending a lot of money, not really making the money back.
Right.
So you're in a position of like, oh man, how long can I do this? Just like you said, right? Well, he doesn't have a job, right? He
Right.
Right.
And he actually, he didn't say it, but he went 1 full year without taking anything out of the company.
Wow.
And so every deal that we closed that first year, wasn't getting paid. You know?
Wow.
So that's stress. You still
That
have
is.
living expenses to take care of that, couldn't do it. He's living off of savings and stuff like that. So, in the beginning part, I would say that was the most stressful time. But just having that faith that, hey, okay, if we continue pushing forward, we can do this. We can create the business that we envision, and it can be successful. So just keep going.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And that's where I feel like you get tested the most is when like it's either like, okay, if I go any more, I may lose everything, or I could just stop here and not lose this. But then you're like, okay, but if I go more and it works, then I gain. So it's a hard decision because you don't know what's going to happen.
Right.
So a lot of, I feel like business owners or just when you're starting a dream or anything, it's all like you're operating in just faith,
Right.
you know?
Only faith.
Yeah.
Only faith.
Yeah. And candles and everything.
Lots of
Standing on top of the mountains. Please.
going to church and you walking up to the front. Lord, pray for me.
You're in the front seat every Sunday.
Special prayer. Yes.
Yeah. And once those answer our prayer, you're like, okay, I need to go back.
Yes.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. That's nice. Yeah. So tell us about your operation now. What does that look like?
Operations now. So right now we have a team of about 13 people total. We have our acquisition side, leads over acquisitions right now. I'm over dispo, systems, and marketing. Two kings,
Yeah.
try to keep everything separate. He's over that. I'm over mine. We stay in our lanes, and it's pretty seamless.
Good.
Yeah, pretty good.
Yeah. And I know you guys are really good about keeping each other's roles. Like, hey, I don't get in your role, you don't get in mine. And, kind of tell us a little bit about that, like as far as partnership, how that's been working for you guys.
Yeah. So I know a lot of people, they don't like partnerships. People say, I can't work with others. I want everything done my way. I would say that that's really, if we didn't have our partnership, we probably wouldn't be where we are right now. We have a lot of similar qualities, but we also differ in a lot of places, and like what he loves to do and what he can do, like I don't like doing. So it works out. Right. So we found what we did, we sat down and we did everything together in the beginning.
Right.
So we did acquisitions together. We did dispo together. Then after doing everything, we sat down and said, okay, what did you like doing? Right. What were you good at? And we looked at it from that perspective, and he was like, man, I like dealing with the sellers, I like negotiating, I like winning, right?
Yeah.
So for him, it was just natural. It's just natural to kind of put him on the front end, and me, I'm more of the process driven type guy, more logical, more straightforward. I don't like to sit down and talk with sellers. I'm like, listen, you ready to sell it now? Type of thing. So for me, it was better for me to be on the back end on dispo, and building out systems and stuff. So once we did that, it was just pretty much seamless at that point. It's like, okay, we're going to be in these roles. This is what's held accountable for each spot within these roles. And, you're the man of it. Take care of it.
Yeah. And, one of the things that I remember you told me last time and I really loved was like, because I asked him like, hey, where's Will at? And you're like, oh, well, we like to divide and conquer, which I thought that was really interesting because that makes sense, because it's like, why do you guys need to be in the same building? He could be handling something else while I'm handling something over here. And I thought that was pretty cool. So I actually told my husband that I'm like, we need to divide and then conquer, because it's like you want to do everything the same. Like, no, you do that, I'll do this, and then we kind of meet in the middle. So that's pretty nice. So now I know you guys, we're starting off wholesaling, but you guys moved into doing a lot more wholetailing. Tell us a little bit about that. Like, how did that change happen?
Yeah, so I mean, it was actually a mastermind we went out to in October of last year. We started off the traditional route, doing the wholesale deals, and then we started figuring out, oh man, we can make more money if we buy it and then we fix it up and we flip it. Right? We can make more money doing that. And so we started doing that. Then we started getting, okay, we could do rentals and owner finance and notes and all that. It was, and then wholetailing and all that. It just became too much. We were just doing too much. And it was after a mastermind we went to in October. So shout out to Ricardo Rosales. He's always been looking out for us. We can't give him enough gratitude. And after that mastermind, we really kind of sat down and really focused on, okay, what are we going to do moving forward that's really going to allow us to be able to scale efficiently, and that way we can really grow this thing and not grow a lot of headaches.
Right.
And so actually right now where we're at in our business, we're actually doing back to kind of almost where we started. We're doing a lot of wholesaling and wholetailing.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what we're doing now. You know, Kirk and I, we're both licensed. You don't need to be licensed to do this business, but we're licensed. It works for us. And so we basically what we're doing now, since Kirk is over dispo, essentially what we're doing, if we don't get what we need to get off market on a wholesale transaction, then we'll just go ahead and wholetail it, put on the market, get what we need to get for it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's essentially kind of how we're running our business. The good thing is that build it, you know, I'm sure you guys know this too. You know, if you're in the business for a while, people get to know you, they know how you operate, take you seriously too.
Mm-hmm.
And so that way you don't have to get away with the traditional, oh, if you're a wholesaler, you can only make 5,000 on this transaction,
Right.
or you can only make, you know, 3,000 or 10,000. It's like, hey, people need to understand. And that's what we're really big on. And I know there's a lot of people in our business in wholesaling that gives us a bad rap, but it's like, if you do your business the right way, and be professional and do right by people, and people understand what you're doing, you know, you could command those higher prices, and people need to understand, like, as a wholesaler, people need to put respect on our name, right?
Yeah.
Because a lot of the fix and flippers that are in this business, or people who are buying from wholesalers, don't really give us the respect, because they're like, oh, you're not getting anything, but you're making 20 grand.
Mm-hmm.
You're not doing anything, but you're making 30 grand.
Yeah.
But they don't see everything we're doing,
That goes
dealing with the
behind it.
sellers and
Mhm.
playing Dr. Phil and clearing title issues, so that all we have to do is provide them a property that's nicely wrapped, clear title,
There you go.
and they can start with a clean slate.
Right.
There's
Yeah.
a lot of cost that goes into that. And so that's, you know, when we're working with people need to understand, you know, our worth and the value that we're bringing to still be able to provide you affordable properties.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's, it's, there's a lot of work that goes behind it. You know, you're clearing, like you said, titles
Yeah.
and all kinds of stuff.
Playing
Almost-
Dr. Phil.
Almost getting shot.
Counselor. You're a counselor. Like,
Yeah,
Yeah.
playing counselor,
You know.
family
Yeah.
counselor.
Hey,
Yeah.
taking people in your house just to get the deal
Everything.
closed.
Yes.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you on that. I feel like a lot of, you know, you're like, oh, you're just a little wholesaler. Like, yeah, you know, there's a lot that goes behind it. So,
It is.
yeah. So tell us about, you know, the transactions, you know, on the wholesaling. Like, where do you feel like you should wholesale and wholesale?
We've kind of broken it down to a price point where it's like, okay, if we can, let's just say we can wholesale a property for 15 grand, and we look at it and say, okay, if we wholesale it, we can make 28 to 30.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna wholesale it, right? When the margins start getting a little bit slimmer, or we think that it may take a little bit too long to do the wholesale, like if we look at the days on market for an area and it's above 20 days, right? It's like, do we really want to wholesale it, or should we just get this 15 and keep it moving, right? So there's a lot of factors that go into it.
Right.
Location, right? Days on market, price range, the margin that we're looking at.
Right.
So we look at all of those things before we make a decision on what we're going to do with it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Christine, do you have any questions?
Well, like in the what I hear them say right now, and what I like is that you guys came in with the numbers game down pat, because you could figure out numbers. You're accountants, so you know the breakdown and everything that comes behind it. It's not just making the money; it's how you can keep the money.
Right.
Okay,
Right.
and that goes all the way from when you sell it. And I'm guilty of it. When I started selling, I started with 80 units, and I just went boom. I mean, once I went with AC Ramos, and he told me, do this. And I said, you tell me what to do, and I'm like a robot. You tell me what to do, and I execute.
Yep.
That's it.
Yep.
By the time you know it, we rolled in so many properties that we didn't know what we had. And you guys, you kind of know your numbers. And I think it's so important, meaning, what do I do? How do I reinvest it? How do I keep that? So I know y'all probably have that down pretty much, right?
We did, but we still made rookie mistakes. I'm not going to
Yeah.
be honest with you guys. To be honest with you guys, I mean, at the end of the day, there's always going to be a transition from going from an employee to an entrepreneur.
There you go.
Right.
And so we still, even though yes, we're accountants by nature. I mean, it was still a big adjustment. We had to learn this.
It was still
Yeah.
different.
Right. And so that's why it's so important. Like you said, with AC Ramos, sounds like he was someone that was a mentor for you in the capacity. Having great mentors that you could trust and people that you can bounce ideas off of. It was people that were pouring back into us, Ricardo Rosales and other people that were just kind of giving us another way to think through some of our transactions and what we're doing, and really looking at our numbers, where we saw that at the end of the day in this business, you really need to be focusing on like time value of money. And so that's kind of what we're looking at with the Wholetail and Wholesale. It's roughly like a 2-to-1 ratio. So it's like, if we can make a quick 10, we'll make it. But if we can make 20 or more, then okay, we'll Wholetail it. We know we're going to have fees on the market, right? So that's basically what Kirk is saying. It's about a 2-to-1. If we could double our money wholetailing it, cool, we'll Wholetail it. And so I'm just saying all that to say is like, everything in this business should be focused on your time value of money and using that money to reinvest into marketing. And so just to make it very simple, you know, a lot of times people want to do, should I fix and flip, or should I wholesale or Wholetail or whatever? At the end of the day, it's just really just kind of knowing your numbers. And it's as simple as look at any deal you've done, look at what you sold it for, look what you paid for it, and your all-in cost, everything down to your closing fees, title fees, if you have them. So you really know what your net profit is on the deal. And so what we started seeing is like, yes, when we fix and flip, it's like, yeah, we had a bigger number. But then when we started accounting for our time, right, our time, the holding costs and everything that was involved in that, we realized like we're making just as much.
I agree with you.
Right.
That's exactly where I'm at, because I've done flipping before, and in the process of that flip, like it was about 5 months. I did 3 Wholetails in between that. And I'm like, dude, what am I doing? Why am I? And then the margins that I got on that flip wasn't even that great. So it's like I did all this work just for like, it took me longer. And if you break it down monthly, it's really nothing. It's like what, 10,000 that you're getting a month on that. So it was not worth it. So
that's the key.
And that's what I think a lot of people fail. They fail on the holding. Not knowing how to calculate it all, pretty much.
Absolutely.
You know, they're like, everybody sees the $20,000, the $10,000, the $30,000 checks, but once you get that check, you've got to break bread. It's time to break bread.
That's right.
And then you know what you'll stay with, and that's the amount people don't want to show, because for some reason that shows. That feels like failure. Like, damn, I just showed 40 and I'm only keeping 5. And 5 is a realistic number when you start breaking down all your lenders. And
I agree. And they'll show like, hey, I made like a 70 on that check. That's probably you're only walking away with 10, you know, because all that what took to fix, holding costs and all of that.
Especially if you have repairs out of pocket.
Yeah, that's the main thing. And that's where I was coming from. Like, shit. Yeah. So right now, have you seen a change in the wholesale market, or is everything still flowing the same? And Wholetail?
So I think we both can chime in on that. I think what we're seeing is I've been kind of looking at some of the HAR reports, the monthly reports that come out, putting that into Excel spreadsheet, just kind of looking at the numbers and not really just focusing on what the news is saying, right? Because those can actually be two different things.
Right.
So where we're at right now, it looks like in the market, buyers are still like thinking that, hey, you know, next month my property's gonna go up another 20 grand. But with us as investors, we already see kind of buyers are now having more opportunities. Properties are sitting on the market a little bit longer. So we would be putting properties on the market, just like everybody saw, 20, 30, 40 offers in the first 48 hours. Right now, you know, you're probably getting 20% of that. Right, of interest. And so it's still for us what we think is what's going to, and no one can predict this, guys. So please just take this with a grain of salt. I personally believe that, you know, the median sales price in Houston is around like $350 to $375, right? And that's what's still selling. 2 years ago, it was like $100,000 less than that.
Right.
So my mindset is, if we can continue to provide affordable housing to the market, and we are substantially less than what the median income is, I feel like we'll always have an opportunity to continue to thrive and succeed. You know, so people are always looking for affordable housing. So That's our focus.
You know, it's funny. Yeah, that's one of the things that I do. I stay below the 300, you know, because they so quicker, and especially like right now, you don't want to do anything past the 400s or even 350s because they're going to stay on the market a little longer. I mean, they might still sell, but they're going to stay, you know.
Because that's what I'm doing right now. The things that didn't sell in like the millions came down to the 900. I'm like, fuck. So, you know, I was like, okay, fine. So we're just going to cash out on them, you know, because with what we put into it, but it's the time that we weren't calculating. It's kind of like most of it is our money, but it's the same thing, you know, when you kind of look at it. And I think some of us that do our own construction work or contractor work, we don't include our time.
Exactly.
We're just like, yeah, we did it. But what would you really be making if you were out there just doing what you naturally do? You know, you just made this little check. And I don't know, that's just where my mind goes. It goes on every penny because, you know, that's all I ever did before I really did anything. And so it was like, no, I kind of calculate it all. Yeah. And I look at everything. And, you know, if you don't, then you're going to be under and you're not going to know why. Exactly. And that's where I see a lot of people fail. Yeah. I've seen a lot of people fail in wholesale. Even in mortgage, I see people, you know, quitting their jobs, going to do all this stuff. And I'm like, you will never master anything. Because what I was doing back in 90 and what everybody's doing now, it is not the same. Completely different world. We are like Jedis now.
Since we started.
I know. Just
5 years ago.
Yeah.
Put bandit signs out. You can get deals.
There you go. Yeah.
Good luck with that now.
Yeah. It's not the same. So it's always educating yourself, I think, is very important. Networking. And I think don't over-educate yourself on YouTube. You need to be with people who are physically moving because anybody can sell and repeat. You know, they sell a book and just read it to you and you're happy with that. And you go out there and you buy something and you just go kaput because you don't know why, but because you didn't actually speak to a living person that can actually analyze. I think it's very important too, to analyze deals with people who are in your area.
I completely agree. People ask us that all the time. It's like, you know, who do I need to talk to? What do I need to learn? It's like, learn what you need to learn, educate yourself, but then go get a deal.
Yeah,
that's going to be your best education.
That's going to be your best education. I know because my brother just sent me something he was looking at, and it's like a house for $35,000. He's in Ohio, and I'm like, what the hell? And the house looks good, and he goes, yeah, they sold a fourplex for $55,000. I'm like, that's Ohio. What? That's Ohio. Yeah, but see, if somebody comes here, they're going to be like, well, I could just buy over there. But what is the rents going for? You know, what's your return on your investment? What is it going to look like? You know, and I think that's real important for people.
Girl, you still got me at 50,000 for a fourplex. I'm
like, yeah, that's where it's at. Yeah, but you're dealing with a lot of snow. Yeah. We can go to Marion. Yeah, it's in Marion, Ohio. He just sent it to me, and I was like, damn, that looks good. But you know, what is the rent? You know, what would it cost you? Put it in. Put your money in there. You know, where are you at number wise? Yeah. Because at the end of the day, you know, we do what we do because we want to get paid.
100%.
You know, and we want to get our money back. We don't want to lose.
We're not in business to be a charity.
There you go. Right? Yeah.
Even though it feels like it sometimes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So that's cool.
So what are your guys, you know, next, you know, goals in the next 5 years to kind of take your company to?
Okay. For us, it's really just growing the team responsibly. I think, you know, people in this business that's been in the business for a few years, I think they realize like, eventually, if you don't have a team, you're going to reach capacity very quick or you're going to reach burnout.
Wow.
And so it's for us, it's really just growing our team, having some great people with us. We're not looking to grow some massive team, but just really having rock stars that's working with us that all want to succeed. And I mean, we do have some big goals in terms of, you know, trying to buy 1,000 properties, you know, in the next 5 years. And we definitely think that it's doable, but we just have to, it's knowing your numbers, knowing your goals, sticking to those goals and being accountable to them. That's, you know, how we plan to get there.
Good. That's good. Yeah. And what are you guys action wise? What are you guys going to do to grow that team or to implement in your business for that team?
We're hiring. So we're actively hiring. And that's what we're doing. And honestly, just continue to grow our revenue and ad budget, right, for marketing. So that's what it's going to take. Is you got to put, this is a marketing and sales business. I know people hear that all the time.
Right.
Yes, we're a marketing and sales business, but our product happens to be real estate. And so you have to be willing that, you know, if you get a few deals, having the capacity and faith. That's what we struggle with as accountants.
Yeah.
Because we're conservative, and I could definitely tell, you know, your audience and your listeners, one of our biggest struggles was really getting comfortable spending the money. And it was just really, really hard for us. And I'm sure we'd be even further along than we are now if we had the faith to do that. But it was just kind of being conservative, not knowing if we're going to get the money back or not.
Right.
But we're definitely, our mindsets are so different. So I just think that your level of success is a direct reflection of the person you become mentally and spiritually. So we're really big on just continue to pour into ourselves, being the best version of ourselves. And then as we continue to grow, our business and the people around us will grow and elevate as well.
Nice.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Lee, he always has the right things to say.
That's why he's in sales.
It's kind of like you could just listen to him talk, right? Like, you're convincing me.
Yeah, and you understand it all.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So for like any of our viewers that are watching, they want to get started in real estate. I know a lot of people have their job. What would you, suggest to them to do as far as to get, do the first action step that you guys did that helped, or something that you could have changed or done different?
Step one, keep your job. Don't quit.
There you go.
Don't quit. So a lot of people think that like, I don't have the time.
Yeah.
You do have the time, right? The time that you spend watching TV or, on your phone, stop that, pick up a book, learn about real estate, spend some time canvassing, areas, driving for dollars, do that in your free time. Right. Because we all have the same 24 hours in a day.
Right.
Right. It's just all how you choose to use that time. So I always tell people, keep the job, because what that's going to help you do is, one, you'll have the income, right, to be able to pour into your business. That's what we did. Right. I kept my job for almost 2 years. He didn't have anything when we didn't have deals coming in, like took from what I was getting to help fund some marketing activities. So it goes, it's a yin and yang, it goes together, right? So I would say do that. Step one is to keep that. Step two, use your time wisely, learn as much as you can, but also take action, right? Don't just be on YouTube, right? Don't just read these blogs and watch these videos and then just go to events and think like, oh, a deal's going to come to me. Like, no, start door knocking, right? Or start doing whatever it takes to get in front of a seller to possibly get a deal, right? And then from there, just continue to do it. Continue to action, and you'll start to see results. And once you do that,
and find somebody like, find somebody like these great ladies who you can trust, that's in your market. And they always say find a mentor, but definitely find somebody and know that they're doing deals, guys, right? So that you know that they're legitimately doing deals. When you come into someone's office that's doing deals, you're going to come in, you're going to see a board in their office. It's going to have deals on it. They have it, we have it, and there's other people that we know in this business that have it as well. So, that way, when you get a deal and you're trying to figure out, okay, now that I've figured out how to get a deal with the seller, what's the next step? Then you have people that you can trust that's going to allow you to not make mistakes, so that deal hopefully doesn't fall through, so that you can see the process from beginning to end. And then once you figure that out, I mean, it's just duplicate the process and being consistent. And then from there, it's having faith, being consistent, executing, and then just continue to grow. So
rinse and repeat.
Rinse and repeat.
And I think that's one of the hardest things within this business, right? Is being consistent. It's easy to do one deal,
right?
It's easy to find a deal, but to do it over and over and over and over again, that's the hardest thing, right? And it just takes a lot of discipline, a lot of inconsistency,
Yeah, that's why it's important to get those have those systems and processes in place.
That's right.
And even with all of that, it's still not even that easy to find a deal, So any other questions you have, Christina? Do you have any questions, Jesus, that you might want to ask?
I did, but he just went away. I was paying attention to what you were saying. I'm here with the headphones. Everything that you said is true, stay on the job, you know, and keep on going. I mean, for me, it was a little bit of, it was a voice that was telling me, Scott, that, you know, you need to go. You need to go. But I had a little bit of saved money though.
That's right.
So
Yeah.
that's why.
That's the key.
That's
Yeah.
the key, you know,
Yeah.
I didn't just went out and did it.
Yeah.
But I had something to back me up at least, you know, 4 months. It's not a lot, but 4 months is 4 months.
That's right.
That means that you gotta take action and do your thing. But just to drop out with nothing. But I've seen people done that. You know,
Yeah.
drop out with nothing.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's luck or it's
Yeah.
that they're actually taking action
Yeah.
and then making deals like that. But not everybody's gonna
That's
you know,
right.
act upon that. So
Yeah.
that's like one of the just things to say, you know, just you gotta take action because we all have the dreams, but without that action, it's never gonna happen.
That's
You
right.
know, I dream something today, you're like, oh man, I really want that house. Well, take action. What is the next step?
That's right.
What's my strategy? What do I gotta know?
Right.
Do I have the money? I don't. Well, let's sit down on the table. Let's make something happen.
Mhm.
Because I got the work ethic. I have the money. Let's go make it happen. There's never
Right.
no excuse to be
Yeah.
waiting and saying, well, I'm gonna wait 5 years. No, man, you never know.
Yeah.
It's a long time.
Yeah.
That's a lot of time.
No, that's
great.
right. That's
People need to
right.
know that. Yeah.
And I think the strongest people that have made it have become fierce out from failure.
Mm-hmm.
Because from failure, there's nothing else to lose.
Mm.
From comfort, you can always say, well, I could just wait. But from failure, there is no going nowhere,
That's right.
you know? So you can't go back into that comfortable chair and sit there when you know you have backup and I can just put this off a little bit. But the people that come from failure, they just don't want to fit. You can't fail over failure. You know, you
Yeah.
done failed.
Right.
So
Can
you
only
want
go
to
up.
come out. You
Yeah.
can only go up. So that's one thing. If you've ever failed at something, it's because you were not consistent. And I think you just got to keep trying, and you can't let it get emotional. You just got to keep on going.
That's right.
That is the main thing. Yeah, I can't take it nothing personal. Somebody tells you ain't doing something right, take it constructive,
That's
because
right.
it might be that one little,
Nugget.
that one little nugget that you needed to get, past the next level. I think it's really important.
That is true. That is true.
But I like y'all's team. I like y'all's team, the yin and the yang. Andrea does her thing. I do my thing. She has her company. I have mine. And we don't, how do you say, we're
Step
not,
on each other's
we don't
toes,
step on
concept.
each other at
Yeah.
all. If she has something, she's like, hey, help me move it. Fine. If not, okay. Within 2-3 days, I'll find somebody. Okay. And she's like, how in the hell do you sell that shit? I'm like, you got to think creatively out the box.
Yeah.
I network with everybody. I don't just network with people in the circle. I go out my circle and I network with everybody. So I
Yeah.
think it's very important. I think everybody down to the person that cuts yards is very important
Mhm.
because it's something you can't do,
Yeah.
and everybody's position in life is important. But
It
I
is.
like y'all's
I
team.
agree.
I like y'all's vibe and y'all's team.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Really
definitely.
We love
These-
y'all's vibes.
These
Thank
guys
you.
have the awesome vibe. I love them.
We love you guys too.
Thank
All
you.
right, guys. Well, thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you guys on the next one.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks. Bye.
Bye.
See y'all.